Hello everybody, you're watching the Haunt channel, and today what I'm making a video on is something a little bit different, not normal content that I usually make on this channel. And well, this is basically like a talking video because basically I've been in this community for 10 years, so this is basically me being 10 years of being a haunter. So yeah, I want to cover like a few things. Like, I can't believe it's already been 10 years since I've been into this stuff, but there's three main points I'm going to be talking about in this video, which is the past, the present, and a little bit about the future for, my career of Halloween stuff. So, yep, and as you can see, I am surrounded by a few pieces that I guess you could say are the trophies of my prop collecting career, or however you want to say it, because these props are ones that are meaningful to me for different reasons. Ignore all the stuff next to the meter that just, I'm in my prop room, so, you know, all my props are down here. I had to move a few out of the way. So this isn't my normal setup. I'm just have this here for video, so don't pay attention to the stuff around here, because that's not really important. That's just there for display. But, yeah, I mean, I guess we can start by talking about a few of these pieces before we go to the past. And I'm going to hit on a few of these topics as well when I talk about a few of these points, but I guess we can start right here with Lee Meeting Zombie Boy. Now, this was my first big animatronic. I got him for Christmas in 2014. I got also that year I got the roaming clown tongue by Morbid, which I do have, but technically, if you're going in order, he was my first big animatronic, because I always got tabletops and zombie babies and stuff. But yeah, so he's meaningful because he's my first animatronic and bigger prop. You could say the clown tongues as well, but I'm just gonna count him. Plus, he was smaller to fit anyways. So yeah, and he's still working like a charm. So no problems yet. The only problem he had was his arms were snapped, but that's fixed. But no mechanical issues, so that's great. Right here is Broken Spine Girl, and she's actually probably my favorite prop ever that's non-professional. I just think that she's really cool and, unique when it comes to animation, because, there's nothing really like it, Obviously, we had Menace Molly, who came out later, but she didn't do as much as her. And I just like her appearance. She's pretty creepy, and I don't know, she always just stood out because of how much she did, and she was really unique at the time. But yeah, right here we have Distortions Unlimited Rockin' Granny, and this is my first professional item, so that's pretty meaningful. I got her in 2020. There's actually a story behind Broken Girl. So basically, I had one I got for Christmas in 2015, and like a little over a year after she broke. So what I did was I scrapped it for parts and whatnot, which, the parts did end up, some of the parts did end up coming in handy for other items. So then I got this one off of Get Go Halloween. I know he's not really in the community anymore, but yeah, we worked out a deal, and I got this brand new one, I guess, and she still fully works. I'm really cautious because she's my favorite. I don't want to risk her breaking. Like, I don't want to have a second broken one. So yeah, this one's really meaningful as well. So yeah, but yeah, Rockin' Granny, I got her in 2021. I might have said 2020, I forget, but yeah, 2021 was when I got her. Hicks Hunter actually picked me this one up for me, so thanks again, Shane. So yeah, nice to have a professional item. I did make a video. I got 2 more Distortions props, Maniac and Dead Debbie. Check that video out. Next one, this is a really big one, Prototype Hex. Now, he's my first prototype item, and he was a really big hit in my life, I guess, because yeah, he was really unique. He was a really unexpected find, but I'm glad I got him. And he's still a bit broken, but he still does some stuff here and there. Mainly the head's just broken because we can't get it to line up right. But everything else pretty much works. The mouth works now, and the eyes do. But it just the head, something's wrong with the relay. But yeah, hopefully it'll be fixed up sometime. And all the way over there we have this Chewy. He's my favorite zombie baby, and I've been on the hunt for him for like 10 years. So this past summer I actually got him from Hicks Hunter. So thanks again, Shane, for that one as well. 10-year search, and this 2010 model, which is, in my opinion, is better than the 2011 one. The only benefit in 2011 is that it's vinyl. This one's latex, but this one is better quality, and I think his looks are slightly better. So yeah, I'm glad with that. And I do have 2 more pieces, but I'm not going to reveal them yet. I will in a little bit once I get to that. But yeah, so now you know the story about why these are meaningful props to me, and I thought I would include them in this video. But anyways, I'm going to talk about the past of my haunting career. So, flashback all the way, let's start with 2008. Now, I wasn't really into this stuff until about 2012, which I'll get to. But, I was never really scared of this stuff. So, one time, when 2008, my family decided we'd go to Spirit in 2008. And, you're probably searching for a costume or just decide to look to see what they have. And I only went there once. I remember quite a bit, but probably not everything. So what I do remember is the Chop Shop was there. I think Frankencuted was lying down. Mad Scientist was there. And probably Lab Technician. Because I remember there were 2 scientists. When I saw Dr. Shivers in a video, I thought he was there, but obviously he wasn't Soul Spirit. So it was probably, I remember Mad Scientist, but yeah, it's probably Lab Technician. I used to think, when I first joined, Shivers was that Spirit, but, obviously he wasn't. And then I believe he was, like, because the store was kind of smaller, it was literally right in front of the American Gothic. So I remember there was a house, and, it was the American Gothic. I forgot exactly what props they had, but, they probably had the Gothic couple, the Scarecrow, maybe Hex. But, yeah, it was a really interesting thing. So, like, yeah, it was, like, so the Chop Shop was here, and, like, the house was really right, like, behind it. So you couldn't really, like, walk between the two. But it was a neat display, and I remember on the back, I remember there was, like, lights and, like, sounds and stuff behind the Gothic. And then when you go to the back, there was a small version of the castle, which I think was 3 columns. They didn't have, like, the 2, I guess, towers at the front. It was just the back 3 animatronics. So, I forget which ones. I'm pretty sure I saw Jason. I forget what the other 2 was. It was probably, Hannibal, Cauldron Witch, or Beheaded Bride. It was, I forget which 3 they had, but I think I definitely remember seeing Jason. But yeah, that's all my memories for 2008 store. But that was my earliest memory with this stuff. I've been trick-or-treating, obviously, since before then, but that's, I'm going to start 2008, because I think that was my first time going to Spirit. Even though I was really young, I was really in preschool at the time. I wasn't really into this stuff as I am now, so. But, yeah, I didn't go in 2009. I don't know why. 2008 was probably just because we were looking for a costume or something to decide to go. It wasn't like a annual trip. But I remember, we'll flash to 2010 now. I remember we were driving around and I saw a sign for Spirit. I'm like, what's this place? And, I don't know if they were open yet, but they were in a plaza in my town. The only time they were in my town, so this was over 10 years ago. But, my mom was like, oh, that's the Spirit store. I went there a few years ago. Probably talking about 2008, because I don't remember going in 2009. But, and when we did end up going, yeah, I went with my grandparents, my uncle, my cousin, my mom, and my brother. And I remember walking in there and seeing Uncle Charlie in Bite Size for the first time. And, like, Spirit compared to now, they were scarier back then, and they just had a really, like, nostalgic Halloween feeling to it. There was a smell when you always walked in. It just gave off that vibe, like, the displays and stuff they had back then, really different compared to now, the better days. But yeah, I remember going to the Cirque du Spirit, seeing all the props and stuff. I remember everything pretty clearly. It's the zombie babies. They had Timmy Tumbles doing a handstand. I saw Chewie, Angry Alice. I believe they had the seesaw, and they definitely had the merry-go-round. But the weird thing about the store was they were never powered on until, like, November 1st. Well, at least when I start. Well, I didn't go every day, obviously, but, I'll get to that in a second, but that was weird. And I remember you seeing Goodnight Kiss on the top of the treehouse. The one thing is, though, that I don't remember her having a body. I think it was just a spinning head. But I was too short, so I probably only saw the head. I think my grandma or someone picked me up to see it, and all I remember is a head. But that makes no sense of operation, so it had to have had a body. That's just, me being a little kid and whatnot. I remember my grandma's like, oh, there's a spinning head or whatever. But, it must have had a body. There's no way it would have functioned with this spinning head on the ground. But yeah, I remember going to the mask, and my cousin was trying to scare my brother with a Dawn Post jigsaw mask. And I remember they had the Horrorplex set up, but for some reason at all, they never had any of the horror characters. They didn't have Michael, Freddy, or Pinhead. And no props went in there at all, which was really strange. Like, I forget if they even had them in at all, but they didn't set it up. And I don't even know if the store had a graveyard. It was definitely big enough to fit everything. They might have had a small version of the graveyard, but I don't really remember it. But, like, I remember there was a bunch of boxes for lights and stuff there. But it was just really strange. But I went there multiple times. My first grade teacher's son actually worked there. And, he was only working 1 day a week, but of course I didn't go on that day. But I did go a few times in 2010 with my family. And I remember going in 2010 November 1st sale, which, I was saying, they finally powered on the stuff. Like, all the props were taken down by then. And though I will say, like, the one thing that creeped me out was zombie babies with the red eyes, like terrible twins, Devlin and Demonica. I know those red eyes always kind of scared me. And I remember talking to my friends at school. And like, I remember I was talking to this one kid, and he said the severed head scared him. But yeah, anyways, the merry-go-round and stuff was on for some reason. And I was like, why is this on now? It's so weird. They never had it on the season, but it was kind of funny because, like, I was like saying, oh, is the store going out of business fully? And I like honestly like started crying for some reason. Not because I was scared, but like I missed the store. I was gonna miss the store. And the funny thing, I wasn't even into this stuff as much as I am now. Like, obviously when I went there, I liked it. It was the talk at school. But it was kind of funny. But like, I don't know why, but it's just a sad feeling for me. Probably because I had so much memories and fun that year, even though I wasn't into this stuff. But yeah. Another early memory, I'm going to continue the spirit in a second, but like I remember my school, and I know from what I heard, a lot of elementary schools did this. They had like a Halloween event. So I remember it was like games and like snacks and stuff and scary storytelling. But there was like this one hallway that would be like, it was called like a haunted hallway or something. And it'd be dark with sounds, and like people would give out candy in there with costumes. And that was pretty fun. And I remember helping out one day. I'm going to flashback. I'm going to go to 2011 now. I'm going to talk about Spirit first, but I do want to talk about the school thing in a second. I did go there every year, but anyways, I went to Spirit in 2011 several times, and I remember like the first trip I went to, they had like Pinhead and at the front, first time seeing it, so they didn't have it in 2010. And I was like, who's this guy? Because he was just too odd to just be a normal spirit creation. I knew he had to be from something, but being a little kid, I didn't know what there was. But I think the only horror characters I knew back there was Freddy, Jason, Billy Jigsaw, Ghostface, and Chucky. Those are the 5 I knew back then. But yeah, I remember seeing everything: Zombie Wasteland, Mausoleum, Zombie Baby Circus, House of Horrors. And I remember we got to Ghostface, and they had the phone out there was ringing, but my brother was scared, and I wanted to pick up the phone, but my mom's like, oh, don't do that because your brother's gonna get scared, even though he's a little bit older than me. So I didn't press it, but I was like, next time I'm gonna pick up that phone. And I did, and he was just swinging his knife and whatnot, and my brother saw it. It wasn't that scary. He thought it was like gonna jump out at him or something. But yeah, I remember me and my grandma always went to Spirit back then. So we went multiple times in 2011 as well. And I remember showing her, I was like talking about Pinhead because they still had him at the mausoleum, or not the mausoleum, but the vampire cemetery. That's what it is. The cemetery archway there. And she was like telling me it was Pinhead, and I'm like, oh, so he's a horror character. I knew he was from something. And I remember, they had the Morbid Reagan there, and she was telling me about The Exorcist because I wasn't familiar at the time, so she was telling me all about it when we saw the prop. And yeah, there's so many memories. Like, I'd always go to school, and all my friends were talking about Spirit and whatnot. So, yeah, it was the talk back then. But yeah, lots of memories. I went multiple times in the 2011, and I remember I went to in 2010. I'll go back to 2010. I went to 2010. I only went to one location, which was the one in my town, so I never went to any others. But 2011, I went to two locations. One of them, I remember seeing Lurching Vampire for the first time, and that thing scared the hell out of me. Because it scared everyone, because it would just like lurch down like fast. I'm like, whoa, it was cool, but the jump scare scared everyone. And yeah, that was a cool store too. It was a bit smaller than the other one, but yeah. And I remember the other location with the Pinhead. My grandma we were looking at the zombie babies, and I remember we saw Evil Ernie in the box because I didn't see him the year prior, and we opened his lid to see what he looked like. And I remember she was telling me how the zombie babies work, so she pulled down Molly Dolly off the shelf with the swing set, or the zombie baby swings or whatever, the circus, and she pulled down Molly Dolly and turned on the switch and told me like, oh, there's a sensor that works, so I saw Molly Dolly turned on. Um, but yeah. And then, anyways, back to my school thing. I remember we were helping setting up that year, and I remember I was talking to my brother's friend's mom about Spirit, and like we were talking about like how lurching vampires scared everyone. It was pretty funny. Uh, but yeah. Anyways, I think that's it for 2011. But yeah, oh yeah, I remember 2010. There was this one house we went to, and I saw Brain Eater there was a house, and they had Brain Eater or Brainetta, the zombie baby, and she was just like on the driveway with like the fog and lights, and I was telling my brother, I was like, hey, that's the thing from the spirit store. And yeah, they had Creeping Tommy as well. I didn't remember him there until like, they had him a few years later, but I guess they had him back then because there was a photo with me with them. But yeah, they had like Creeping Tommy, Brainetta, and some other props, and like this little kids like playhouse thing. It was pretty cool. I don't know if the house still decorates. I did film it several years ago in 2017 when I was filming neighborhood houses. But yeah, I think that's it for 2011. 2012 was the big year though, because I will say originally I did want this video to come out before the new year in 2022, because 2012 was a big hit, and actually I will say this now. A few years ago, I did make a video about me being a haunter, so that was briefly, but I'm gonna go talk. I'm talking about my whole experience now, but yeah, 2012. I remember we went to a restaurant, and then we decided to go see if Spirit was open, and we went in, and I saw Zombie Swingle, and my mom was laughing because it was zombie saying la 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 whatever. I know some people get annoyed by that, but yeah, it was pretty funny. And I was walking around, and I remember heading towards the back and seeing all the zombie babies. And I remember there was these people who stepped on Rosemary. A lot of the stuff, my stores didn't get the year prior. So 2012 was my first time seeing Rosemary. And I remember she jumped, and I was like really scared because she jumped out. Like, I used to get scared of all the jump scare props back then. So yeah. And then, I will say, I forgot to mention this, but I was talking about 2010. I was scared of the red eye baby, like DeMonica and Devlin. And I was scared of them all the way up until the beginning of 2012, but then I got over it. But yeah, quickly, I'm just going off. I don't have a script or anything, obviously, so I'm just going off memory. But I will say, the reason why I got into this stuff was in 2012. I always liked this stuff, obviously, but 2012 was the big year. I remember my uncle was a big Halloween enthusiast. And I remember he threw a few Halloween parties. He's a big inspiration to me. So him and my cousin were looking up this place called Spooky World, which is a pretty big haunted house attraction here in New England. But yeah, they wanted to go there. There was the summer, and I was like, look, and they told me to look up stuff. So I remember I was like looking up, like, I decided to, search up Spirit Halloween because, I remember the store from the previous 2 years and whatever. And then, I was like, one of the first videos I remember was watching the Spirit Crystal News, the Zach Zombie Baby Daycare. That's a classic. One of the first videos I remember seeing that day, sitting on my chair in my living room while they were over. And that's how I got into this stuff, So we'll go back to 2012 Spirit. But yeah, another thing is like, Jumping Zombie scared me. And I remember seeing Jumping Spider at the front. They had like the one where he was in the box that said Jumping Spider, but then there was also the one at the front of the store with the was it like a windmill or something? But yeah, I remember there was a step pad, he didn't work, but then we were like going to the register because I bought my Halloween costume that day. And I remember I was like, oh, I was telling my mom, there's a jumping spider right next to the counter. So I step on it, it jumps down, and I legit fell on the floor because it jumped out so fast. And you know, the jumping spiders back then jumped like earlier and faster than the ones nowadays. Um, so yeah, the old ones are better. I probably their quality's getting worse now. But yeah, I went a couple times in 2012, and I remember one time was really fun because I used to play soccer, and you know after soccer practice, it might have been a game or something. I don't forget, but yeah, I remember we went to Spirit, we sang out a Spirit after, and we just so happened to run into my cousins, and you know we were like talking about all the stuff and whatever at the store, and it was pretty cool. I remember I got the Spirit zombie baby mask there. I didn't buy it, but I put it on, and I was holding the sleigh time that they had there and sitting on a box. And I was trying to act like a zombie baby there when my parents walked over with my cousins. Um, but yeah, I remember I was always telling my mom to like bring down Demonica because you know the censors things my grandma told me the year prior. So you know I told her to pull it down and she didn't work. But I forget she might have. But yeah, I remember I was starting to turn on all the zombie babies and stuff. But yeah, I went many times in 2012, probably at least like 20. But yeah, that was a really fun day with my cousins. Yeah, I remember a few times 2012, there's a few stories. I remember there was these two kids there that I started talking to, and like they were telling me to step on like jumping zombie, but I was kind of scared of that jump scare stuff still. So, you know, I stepped on, you know, Gramps or whatever, and they like telling me to jump on that one. I just walked away because I didn't want to get like scared by the zombie. Yeah, I was also scared of you know, later they got Rising from the Grave zombie who I saw for my first time, and he's scared. He wasn't that scary. I thought he was gonna because I knew he was gonna pop up, but I rest him. He wasn't as scary because he wasn't as fast as the others. But yeah, um, I remember one time went and you know they had the water wheel. I don't think it was filled luckily, but I remember I pressed wiggler and it wiggled all the way into the water wheel. I don't think it was filled luckily, but that was pretty funny. I remember seeing Runt and turning him on there. And yeah, 2012. I mean, it might just be because nostalgia. I know a lot of people don't like 2012 compared to the other years, but 2012 is probably my personal favorite year. Part of it's probably being biased because nostalgia. But I don't know, I really like that year, especially the sawmill, because the music, all the effects, I like that, and they used water and whatnot. You know, that was probably my favorite theme. Zombie Wasteland's up there too. But yeah, lots of great memories in 2012. I'm trying to think if there's any others. Oh yeah, I remember when people turn on Rosemary, I just hide near the mask section or the tombstone section because I didn't want to see her jump out because I was kind of scared. I remember like I heard the saw noises. I just noticed them for the first time, and I was like, "What's that?" My grandma's like, "Oh, that's the saws." And I remember going twice on Halloween 2012 because one time after school, you know, me and my grandma made a trip up there. This was before I did a big Halloween display. I had no props then besides like tombstones and like hanging stuff, and inflatables. But those were my family's things, nothing that I personally owned. We got a few things from Dollar Tree as well. But yeah, I remember I went twice on Halloween, so we went with my grandma. And I remember I was organizing all the zombie babies because they were a mess, and you know, I organized all of them to look nice. And then a few hours later, I was showing my uncle the Sawmill video from Spirit's theme video, and he was like, "Oh, we should go there because we were picking up pizzas." So a few hours before trick or treating, I went back a second time, and this time was my uncle. It wasn't as fast, but yeah, I remember they had some zombie babies there. For some reason, they never had Stabby or Agni or Blubbers or Reagan baby or Wolf baby even, which is weird. But they had all the other ones, and I remember they had some leftovers. Like they had well, actually, they had Agni Ann, but she was never set up. But I remember I think someone pulled her out of the box. They also pulled out Timmy Tumbles and Kitty Cat. I didn't see them, but when I went on Halloween, they were all just pulled out of the box randomly. It's weird. But yeah. Anyways, November 1st, 2012 was when things got a little bit bigger. After school, I went and my grandma was already there. My mom drove me over there. So we all met up with my grandma, and I wanted Chewy. You know, it's 10 years hunt. Finally got him, like I mentioned. But because they had him the day before, but he must have sold earlier, either Halloween night or November 1st morning. Which I'm trying to, you know, I was thinking, you know, maybe it's a good thing I didn't get it because I feel like there's a high chance it's 2011 model, and I already told you how I felt about that, so I got 2010 right here. But anyways, I remember my second pick was Timmy Tumbles, and they still had him, and he was like sticking out. And my grandma must have brought him over because they didn't have Chewy, but she was standing by him at the front of the barn. All the props were taken down by then. Also, I didn't go to the sale in 2011 for some reason, but anyways, with the sale for 2012, I remember going and um, I was gonna get a zombie baby either way. We were gonna get Timmy, but mom's like, "Oh, it's too expensive," even though it was cheap. So I just decided to get another baby then. Um, so I was looking and I automatically thought they were broken or whatever. I didn't get the ones with dead batteries, and I remember there's someone like there, and they're like, "Oh," and she was talking to her husband. She's like, "We should get all the babies we don't have," and they bought like 6 babies. I'm like, "Dang." Um, but yeah, I remember. So they had Angry Ellis, who was still on censor. And then Devlin to Monica worked. All the others had dead batteries or something. But yeah, I remember they had Kitty Kath, and I just told you they pulled her. Someone pulled her out of the box the day before, but her rat went missing. And I remember I was like, there was like a hole in the sawmill, and I was like trying to look down to see if maybe it was there, but I didn't see it. Um, but yeah. Anyways, there was a thing, but so I'm trying to stumble my words, but so there was an option between 3 babies. I was thinking about either Devlin or DeMonica, and they had an ankle biter, and my grandma pulled her because she kind of liked her, but she's like, "Oh, you can choose one of these to get, and I'll get one other, but the other one has to stay because there's 3." So what I did was I chose Devlin because I'm gonna be honest, like I watched a few display videos. I can't remember exactly which ones, but I felt like Devlin was because I was like, a little kid, so I was like, oh, not many people get Devlin. I feel kind of bad for him, but yeah, I picked Devlin. My grandma got ankle biter, and we just left Monica, which I did get one a few years later. But yeah, I remember I was waiting in line, like after my family was waiting in line. I think they might have bought, but I remember they actually at the front of the store they had 4 licensed props set up throughout the season. Well, first of all, they had Michael Myers in the barn where Tombstone Lifter was supposed to go, and they never got him in. But yeah, I didn't know who Michael Myers was back then either, but my dad explained who he was, so that's another horror character I got to know. Um, yeah, I also knew Frankenstein back then too. He wasn't really a horror character; he was a Universal monster, obviously. But I knew him, classic, Dracula and them. But I remember there was a section next to the door where they had a 2010 Michael. They had Ghostface, Frankenstein, and Pinhead set up with the Try Me stands, and the morbid 12-foot clown was on the wall next to the register with the jumping spider. And that was like a little horror section they put together. I think some other stores did that too. But I remember, yeah, at the sale, I think the only ones left were Pinhead and Frankenstein in the box. They just put them away, but their boxes were there. I think Michael and Ghostface sold. But yeah, I remember they had the Try Me stand set up with the button. So I put Devlin on center, and I pressed the try me button because, I was trying to make it act like, I was activating, and people in line were like looking at me and like laughing because they thought it was funny. But yeah, I got Devlin that day. And I still have him to this day. I was about to show him, but life is rough with him. This is him today, the same one I got back then. And I made a video called repairing latex. Latex does not last forever, and Devlin's latex is extremely bad. I'm not saying like because it's this, but you can always tell a different quality in latex. His latex is thinner than a bunch of other babies, and plus it has those styrofoam beads, and the styrofoam absorbs the moisture. So this is him now. I wish he was a bit better. I did repair him the best I could. This was my first repairs, so I gave him the Hicks Hunter first to fix up, but he just keeps getting worse and worse. But his heads are tilted and the paint. This was sadly this was one of my first repairs of latex, so it wasn't that good. But I mean, he's still here and he does work. He broke a few times, but he's fixed, but he still works. But yeah, he even has a little clearance tag I left on there from when I got him. I do have his original tag too, just like over there somewhere. But yeah, I know this thing's going to be gone eventually, which is sad. But I'm going to try to preserve him the best I can because he's technically my first prop that I owned. So yeah, it's really meaningful to me. So I mean, I'll try to repair him the best I can. I'll save him for as long as I can. A lot of people are like saying, "Oh, you can't save that," which I mean, it won't be forever. But you know, I'll try to save him as long as I can. So that's Devlin. Anyways, I'm gonna put him down, but yeah, life's rough. Anyways, so my grandma got Jumping Spider because she loved Jumping Spider that year, and that was the first year we saw him because our stores didn't have him in 2011. But yeah, she bought him. She still has him. I think he's kind of broken now, but she still has him with the box, so it's a good old slime font. But anyways, I'll splash back to Christmas. So Christmas, I got a bunch of stuff. And, you know, I didn't ask for Halloween stuff because I was like, oh, you can't get Halloween stuff for Christmas. But I was wrong because I remember I was opening up all my presents and, you know, and there was one bag left. My brother's like, oh, don't forget about that one. So I opened it, and guess who it is? Timmy Tumbles. And this is definitely the same one that was at the store that I got Devlin at because I could tell by the box. I still have the box. It's kind of a little bit beat up now, but it had like these scratches on it. It had the same scratches that were at the store. So this is definitely the same Timmy that was back then. And he's pretty rough too. This whole face was like ripped. So me and Hicks Honor helped to repair this one. Because like I said, Shane Hicks Honor helped me with latex because he was good at it. You go watch my latex video if you guys want to know how to repair stuff. But, you know, once again, these SVI babies with their styrofoam stuff and whatnot, the quality's not as good on these ones, but... And his wires have been snapped for a while. His whole battery compartment fell off, so he's really rough, too. He's like missing some pieces of hair. But, yeah, second prop right here, he's pretty rough, but I did do a little bit better repair on him than Devlin, but... You know, I mean, he's still a great static prop. He's kind of all, you know, discombobulated a little bit with the clothing, but, you know, he's a little bit dirty, too, since, you know, this is things here for over 10 years. And obviously, he's came out in 2010, so he's obviously older than that, but tons of problems. His arms are loose as well. But hopefully, one day we get him to be fixed. My good friend Chris, Halloween Fan 101, we did some progress on him, but we never finished it. But hopefully one day I can get this guy working because he's been broken for a long time now. But, you know, I still have him. But, yeah, I got him for Christmas, which was really unexpected. He did work, obviously, when I got him. But I remember another thing was I still have it. I got a Zombie Baby Pocket Screamer, too. The one with, like, the bib and the rat. I have that somewhere. But, yeah, I got that for Christmas. So, yeah, that's, you know, that was the big year for me. And started my collection. So 2012 was a huge year. I had to spend a lot of time. We're already 30 minutes in this video. It's not over yet. But, you know, I had to spend a lot of time because over 10 years now, 2012 was a big year. So now I'm going to go to 2013. 2013, I always went a lot. You know, I started going with my friend Miles, who I'm still good friends with now. He helps me with my haunt. But, yeah, I remember my grandma would take me a lot. My mom would. And I would go with my friend Miles a lot. And I went to multiple locations this year. Oh yeah, forgot to mention 2012, I only stuck with this one location. Which was the same one where I saw Pinhead in 2011. But yeah, the other location didn't return, but so I only went to one location for all my trips in 2012. But yeah, anyways, 2013, at this one I started going to a bunch of different locations. There was some in the mall. Like there's always been if you go back if I went on the Wayback Machine, there was a bunch of locations, but I didn't go to as much. 2013 was when I started going to a bunch. But yeah, and I started building up my prop collection. I got Ouchie the Clown one day, who I still have. And then yeah, you know, many times, you know, lots of good memories. I've remember seeing Pop-Up Zombies the first time. That thing scared the crap out of me. Like that thing popped up really fast. I was like, I knew what all these props were because this was one of the year I started, you know, watching the videos when they came out before they dropped in Spirit and Techie site, on YouTube, and you know, I was prepared to see a lot of this stuff. So, but yeah, this stuff, you know, I got less scared of the jump scares here, but Pop-Up Zombie still scared me. He was like, obviously this year he came out, but yeah, he really scared me back then because he was fast as heck. So. But yeah, lots of great 2013 memories. A lot of them, you know, they're classics and whatnot. I don't know if like many stick out as me as they did in these earlier years. But 2013 was a great year. It was the 30th anniversary for Spirit. This year's going to be their 40th, so hopefully they do something good. And Spirit, you know, nowadays is kind of weird. But 2013 was pretty fun overall, and I have lots of great memories there. I remember seeing a lot of older props that, at these locations, like Gravedigger and Frodrick. and Billy Buster, a bunch of old props. Was when I started seeing these and leftovers and a bunch of locations. Each one was different. You know, each location's different, which is makes it really unique, especially back then. Um, but yeah, lots of great memories. I'm trying to think if there's anything specific. I do remember seeing my first trip, 2013. I finally got to see a bunch of babies I didn't see it the first time. You know, I saw Reagan Baby, finally Wolf Baby, Stabby, and Blubbers for the first time. Uh, but yeah, a lot of babies and stuff. But yeah, I do have pics somewhere on my first 2013 trip. My mom probably has them. I don't know exactly where they are right now. But you know, there was lots of great memories. 2013 was a great year. And then, you know, I can't really think of any specific. You know, I remember this was my first time being a scary character, so I was Jason for Halloween. I just got the Ruby's mask and machete from Spirit, and I used a rip-up T-shirt. Um, but yeah, I don't know if there's like any memories. I remember there was like a bunch of babies. I went on the one time when there was like they just brought a lot of old inventory. They had Wicked Witch of the West, and her like audio was cutting out. Um, but yeah, I remember, you know, there was tons of babies this one day. I was like, holy crap! But of course, back then, you know, I was little, so I didn't, you know, I didn't have a lot of money with me because I'm a little kid, and I didn't get enough all the, you know, I couldn't get all of them. But it was amazing to see. I got to see a lot of stuff for the first time. Uh, but yeah, I don't know if there's any other specific memories I have that, you know, stuck out to me as much as they did in 2012 and whatnot. But I did go a bunch of times this year and a bunch of locations. And then I remember, I'll flash forward to November 1st, 2013. Now this one actually kind of sticks out. I remember I wanted to go to the sale and after school, but I went to the car and, you know, my friend Ryan, my grandma and Ryan's mom, you know, because my grandma got me something from Spirit and it was a surprise. And, you know, they walked over to my grandma's car and I saw sitting in the back seat was Molly Dolly and the Ghostface phone from Jemmy. I have a Ghostface phone, but I don't have Molly Dolly. And I'm about to explain that. So I got home and she did work. But you know, she's a light sensor, so you have to get right light in the right spot. So she wasn't activating all the time, probably because we weren't shining the light. And we just assumed she was broken. So my grandma's like, okay, we're gonna return it. Because if you know about Spirit, you can return things if they're broken, and they don't say they're broken. So we were able to go. And you know, the reason why I didn't stop her from, because I knew she wasn't broken, but the reason why I didn't stop her from, you know, uh, from not returning it was because she said I wasn't gonna go to the sale, but this is, you know, she thought it was broken, so she was gonna return it, and I was gonna go with her. So I was like, you know what, I don't want to say anything because I do want to go to the sale this year. So, you know, we went there, and it actually ended up being beneficial because my grandma got a bunch of stuff. She got pumpkin door knocker, some tombstones, a hanging skeleton. She still has a bunch of this stuff. Um, and she got zombie wall plaque, but zombie wall plaque unfortunately was ended up breaking in brand new in box, but we couldn't return it. And she actually snuck me Teddy Bear, which is going to be a Christmas present. But you know, we returned Molly, and they still had Stabby left over, so I picked him up, which I still have, and he was a display, so yeah, we got him instead. And he actually, I think he's a little bit better than Molly. He's more creepy. But, you know, I was kind of sad to return Molly, to be honest. But, you know, at least I got to experience the sale and I got something. I remember all the props were taken down once again. But they were all, like, in their boxes. I was seeing, like, Limb Eater and I think probably, like, I don't know, maybe, like, Death Row and stuff in the box still. But, yeah, also I remember one time during the season, my grandma really liked Evil Ragdoll. So, I took my grandma to Spirit, and my mom and brother went to another location while we were distracting her because I took her out for her birthday to go see Spirit, and my brother and my mom went to another location. They got an Evil Ragdoll, so she opened that up when we got home. So that was a nice surprise, and she still has her. So yeah, that was nice. And I remember 2013 there was we tell a bunch of stories in like class that year about stories. Like I remember my friend was talking about You know, seeing Lurching Vampire and stuff in the back, because there was like the Hall of Horrors, he would call it, because all the props were back there. Because the asylum was here, and then the lawn scare's a small one. It was like right here, a diagonal from each other. So it was like and then like Lurching Vampire was there, so he'd jump out at you, and like I think Frankenstein was there too. They had a leftover. I remember seeing Zombie Barrel in the back, in the box. So you know, but yeah. And I remember my teacher was saying that she saw the clown train at the front of the store because it was pretty close to the front, like because it was in a mall. It was like the first thing you see right as you go in. So you know, Thrash and Clown and Silent and Deadly and whatnot. There's the small version with like the one train and the 4 clowns, 2 on each side. But yeah. And I remember 2013 was when I got a lot of stuff. Well, quite a bit. I'm not gonna name anything, but I got a couple of babies, a Sunstar Reaper, a Striking Snake. You know, it was pretty crazy, and I have a photo of myself that year. I got a clown mask with hands too, the one that used on Belly Buster. They liked that mask. But yeah, that was crazy. You know, I got quite a bit of stuff. It wasn't a whole lot, but it was pretty big back then, especially to me. But yeah, and I remember in Halloween 2013, I went to the house of Brainetta. And I remember there was this lady there who was trick-or-treating with her daughter or something. And I heard her say, "Look at the scary baby." So I went home. It was raining that year, so I couldn't put any of my stuff out. I only had Timmy, Devlin, and Ouchie then. And, you know, some stuff in the yard, but obviously that wasn't mine. But I remember I just put them all in the window that night, even though there was like an hour left of trick-or-treating or whatever. But, yeah, you know, just to have them out, I guess. I remember it was funny because what happened was we went to my normal neighborhood and then we came back home to stop and then we went to the other side of town and I switched costumes midway for some reason. I started off as Jason, then I ended up being Ghostface the second half. And I remember my friend would do a big Halloween display and I think they sold a bunch of their stuff because they needed money. But it wasn't like anything like animatronics or thing, but they had quite a bit of stuff. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I think that's it for 2013. 2014 is kind of the same with 2013. You know, I went a bunch with my friends, you know. And the thing about 2014, I remember I was like, because I saw like locations opening, like I remember seeing, for example, Jaden's videos, making a video of his spirit. I'm like, holy crap, I want my spirit to open already this like August. So I remember I was checking one day and, you know, the store locator was up by then, and all my locations said they weren't open yet. They were coming soon. But you know, there was one in a 10, and we were gonna head there later for like dinner. So you know, before we left, you know, I was just gonna check the website, or the store locator. It just so happened the spirit in that town just opened that day, so it was right down the road from the restaurant we were gonna go to. So we stopped there for about 10 minutes. It was opening day, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, that was a fun time, I guess. And then this was the summer right before I started school. So what happened was, I remember I went to one location, I got a clown machete, and we were on vacation somewhere. And then the day after, I went back to the store that we went on opening day, and I got Thumbsucker, who I also still have. Yeah, another thing is that I don't know if I'm going to touch base with this, but I had to return Molly Dolly, but I did get one this past season, another one. It's a little bit broken, but at least I have another one, so. But anyways, yeah, I remember I got Thumbsucker, and, you know, I don't know if there's really any highlights with this year either, really. You know, there was a lot of good memories and whatnot, but I can't really think of anything that would really stick out. I just remember going a bunch of times that year. I remember the opening day, you know, it was kind of weird because they obviously don't have all the props. But I remember the only prop in the attic was Possessed Wallhanger, and for some reason, Evil Scientist was in the back where Barnyard was. I think they eventually fixed that though. But yeah, that was a big store, and they were there for 2014, or 2013 to 2014 at least. So yeah. And I remember seeing Papa Zombie, and, you know, I knew what he was, so I was too scared to step on him again. Because I felt like I was going to get scared by him again. But, Yeah, that was another really good year. I remember coming back every so often. I'd see more new props and whatnot. And like, I saw like, they got Jack O'Lenger and Lil Nestor for the first time. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I'm pretty a hype little kid. And I remember like I went back with my friends one time and they got even more stuff and we're like so excited running around the store. The store manager came over. He's like, "Oh guys, I need you. I know you're excited, but you need to stop running around." But we're like, "Okay, okay." So we calmed down a little bit, but me and my friends loved. I got my friend Miles into a lot of stuff. Like he 2013, he actually got Blubbers. His mom got him for him, so he started getting a few babies. He only got a few things, but obviously not nearly as much as me. But yeah, I'm glad that I got him pretty much into this Halloween stuff, and I'm glad to help my friends get into this stuff, and they still support it. They help me with my haunt every year. But yeah, as far as spirit goes, I don't think I can't. It's I'm just going off memory here. I remember like everything, but those are some good moments. But yeah, overall that was another good season. 2014, I'd say was Spirit's last prime year. I'll go with 2015 in a second, but I remember I did my first Halloween display that year. And it was just in my driveway and with the little stuff I had, with zombie babies and whatnot. I dressed up as Michael Myers that year. And there was another store I remember called Halloween Screams. They weren't really around for long, but yeah. And there was another store I started going to. I went there a few years ago, before I started going a lot, called Joker's Wild, which I still go to. And I remember seeing like the Jemmy kicking Scarecrow, hanging at the edge of because they have a prop room as the front of it. And I remember I ran past it because I didn't want it to kick me or whatever. But yeah, I started going a bunch later, and I remember seeing a bunch of props for the first time. I was like, whoa, it's nice to see these in person. I saw Face Ripper Man, Walking Clown Tongue. I got those, and some other props like Cruising Candace, uh, Guardian of the Grave, Teddy Bear Girl, some latex stuff, older props, Smokey the Clown. Yeah, I was like, whoa, this store is crazy. Because the reason why, I remember my brother was saying, like, he was talking about the store one time. He's like, oh, yeah, they had Jason in the window. I'm like, they did? And so I was like, huh, maybe they had props. So, I decided to go with my grandma because we'd always go out and, like, after school places and stuff. So I decided to try them. And, they had 2010 Jason in the window without the mask. And, that's when I went into the store. I was like, whoa. It just happened to be right down the street from the Spirit I talked about in 2014, the opening day one. So yeah, that was a really cool experience. They don't have as much stuff as they did back then compared to now, but it was really cool seeing a bunch of this stuff for the first time. It was just insane. So, and I bought a lot of stuff there, and the workers there are pretty nice, and they know me pretty well. So, yeah. So I'm glad to have a good connection with them. But anyways, yeah. 2014, I got more props for Christmas. That's when I got Limb Eater, and I remember Walking Clown Tongue and some other babies. And I remember a spirit moment in 2014. The store I told you in 2013 had Frodrick. They actually had him back. And the reason why I know it's the same one because the head was unglued and it was hanging by the wires. And it was only $30, so we brought it to the register. And they were trying it out, and he went along with his phrase. But when he started spinning his head, he would not stop spinning his head. So, it was a relay switch, definitely. But yeah, but and I remember, they're working there. This Pumpkin Nestor step pad was inside the display, so I pulled it out. I stepped on the head, wasn't on fully. It fell off, and I told the worker, and they pulled it on. But this meantime, because I wasn't gonna buy the broken Frodrick, so they were so nice to call like a further away store to get one on hold for me. So what happened was my grandma was awesome for this. So she worked out a deal with another store that the store recommended. It was a state away, and they had it on hold for me, and it worked. And they're about to ship it out, so we could actually pick it up to a closer location. And what happened was they tested it out one more time, and all of a sudden it broke. So we didn't get that one. So you called another further away store. And she finally got that one, and she brought over for Christmas. It was a really big surprise. Well, I remember I was at her house, and I saw a pile of Halloween stuff I was going through, and I saw a Frodrick, but I didn't want to say anything because I felt like she was for me, that she got it for me. And I wasn't sure she was gonna keep it for herself, but you know, I had a strong feeling it was for me because she knew that I wanted it. So for Christmas, you know, I acted surprised, but I was really happy. You know, she put so much effort into getting it for me, so I was so happy to get him, and I still have that project today, and he still works. I don't, and you know, he hasn't showed any rotting yet, so that's good. He's a little bit different latex than Timmy. He seems a bit better, so hopefully he stays like that for at least a little while longer. But yeah, I was so happy to get him, and yeah, that was pretty fun. 2015. Actually, 2014. You know, I remember going to the. I'll talk about. I want to talk about one more thing about 2014. I remember I went to 2 locations, one on the first and one on the second. I remember getting Picky Little Knifed Up Rat, and some other stuff, and I remember going to the second, and I got Bouncy. I had a lot of mask in my hand, but my mom was like, "You can either get all these masks or you can get the Bouncy Baby." So I think I made a better choice getting the Bouncing Zombie Baby, and they had a bunch of other props they just randomly pulled out. So I got Bouncy November 2nd and Picky Little November 1st. So still have those ones. But yeah, anyways, and I remember I was talking to because they had this is the first year going to Spirit where they still had some displays up. And I remember I was talking to my mom about Broken Girl because she was really awesome. Like I said, my favorite prop. She's right there. I remember she's like, "Oh, that's still $100," so she retailed for 200, but we didn't get her. So anyways, 2015. I remember it was like the day before school started. I was going to middle school this year, and I remember, you know, me and my friend Miles, who I always went to Spirit with, you know, we went, and my brother and his friend went, and we saw 2015 for the first time. And, you know, there was like a smaller version of the swamp, like Black Widow, Creepy Rising Doll, Cerberus. And then they had a version of the subway in the back. And I remember they had it was weird. I don't remember all the props they had at the time, but in one of the carts, it was a small version, I think with like 3 slots. In the middle one, they had Lunging Lily, and they also had a Broken Girl. And the Broken Girl would bend backwards, but it would keep clicking because they were having a problem with the gear. She had a problem going up because the gear was splitting. So me and my friend Miles would always like push her back up and fix her until, you know, we left. But I remember later they actually put Broken Girl in the window so she wouldn't keep activating. But, you know, obviously they got new shipments and stuff in after. But yeah, I remember me and my grandma went on a Halloween, you know, I guess, run one day. Just went to 2 Spirits, Kmart. I remember one of the Spirits was closed because they were having fire difficulties. But we ended up going to that Spirit later, and I remember seeing Brainetta, and I already got her. But I think it was for my birthday. We got her online that year for 2015 for my birthday. But they had Little Willie. I didn't have him. I'm like, oh, I gotta get him. My grandma's like, all right, you can get this, but this will be your last prop. I didn't have as much props as I did back then, but clearly that didn't work because I got a bunch more. But, you know, I got Little Willie, and years later he sadly dry rotted, so I got a new one on Marketplace. He's still good, but yeah, my first one rotted away because the latex on that thing is a piece of crap. You know, material wise, it's cheaper latex. But yeah, we got him. And actually 2014, I keep remembering this stuff. I started my Fright Fest thing. I actually started as a school project. Well, the thing was, me and my grandma were discussing. She's like, oh, you should do like a Halloween thing before. And like we'd invite people over and do like a walkthrough. So it's called the Fright Fest. I know it's like same name as Six Flags, but that's what I came up with. And, you know, and I remember I did like a project for school, and we watched it in school. All my classmates loved it. So, and some of my friends helped out with that as well. And, you know, I did that every year. Up until 2021 was last one, because that's the year I was last year in high school. But I'll get to that later. So 2015, you know, it was pretty good. First year middle school was going good. Trying to see if there's any memories, but I did start going a lot again. So, you know, since 2013, I went to a bunch of locations many times. So, yeah. I'm trying to think, because yeah, I don't know if there was any moments that really stuck out to me, but I remember going to a haunted house in 2015, the day before Halloween, and there was a spirit in the town. That's the one I got Little Willie at, and I remember there was a bunch of stuff I wanted. I didn't get much. I got a sitting rat and 2 shiny buttons, or 1 shiny button, I forget, but yeah, there was a bunch of old stuff from my locations back then. Like, you know, you see Spirit back then videos, a lot of stores had like leftovers and some pretty rare stuff, so I got quite a bit things. But yeah, the store was like insane. Like, it wasn't November 1st sale, but a lot of stuff was gone, and like the store was kind of trash. There was stuff all over the place, kids running around. I remember the roaming dolls on the carpet, and I think I was watching a video of Joe Bean Videos, and he was like saying, "Oh, don't put roaming props on carpet because the hair gets stuck." So I remember I was trying. There was like this because the store is carpet, but there was like it was a Circuit City, so they had like the red like brick paths, I guess. So I remember I was putting them on, and these kids kept turning them on the carpet. I'm like, oh, I was trying not to let them break. But I remember they had lunging Lily on the ground, and these kids kept activating her, and she like kept lunging, but then she would like fall down and face plant because I guess she didn't have the weight on the back of her. But I remember that. But yeah, that was the day before Halloween. And then Halloween Day 2015, that's when I did a decent display. I actually do have a video of it. I think it was on my first video on the channel. It was a really small, like 30-second video, but I had those Lion Babies and stuff. And I remember my grandma got me like these dolls from a Kmart. So, yeah, it was a Halloween gift. So, but yeah, I just did a display back then with some stuff. But yeah, I didn't do a haunt till like years later, which I'll get to as well. But yeah, that was a pretty fun year. A lot of family and friends came over, so that was pretty cool. My first big display because 2014 was small, and I got a fair share even if it wasn't a lot of big stuff. But yeah, I remember going to the sale in 2015. I had a big basket of stuff, but I didn't get I didn't get. I got less than half of the stuff I wanted. It was like a bunch of tabletops and stuff, but. Yeah, it's whatever. A lot of the stuff I lost interest in, but the other stuff I did get a little bit later. That was there, but yeah. Anyways, I remember Christmas 2015, there was a bunch of stuff like 2014. I wanted one of my stores had the Demonica Zion baby who I really wanted because I had Devlin and they had a bunch of other babies too and some other rare props. But I really wanted her. My mom knew I wanted her too. But anyways, flash forward to 2015, she got me the newer version of Monica, the wholesale version that was different. So I was like, oh, I finally got her, even if it wasn't the spirit one. I ended up getting rid of that one later anyways, because I actually did end up getting the spirit model, which I do prefer, honestly. But anyways, I was opening my gifts. I forget everything I got, but I got quite a bit. I remember I got Ghost Girl as a leftover from a store. And I got Broken Girl, my first one, which I mentioned what happened. But I was like, holy crap, because she was my favorite animatronic and whatnot. And yeah, 2015 is actually when I started YouTube. I had a channel, but I forgot the password fast. So that channel did not go anywhere. So I had a bunch of 2015 videos. And I started this channel in 2016. So I uploaded all my pre-recorded videos from my other channel on this channel since I lost access to it. But yeah, I think we'll flash forward to 2016 now. The year I started my channel. Obviously I watched a lot of videos. I forget exactly from who, but I watched a variety of these Haunters videos. And, 2016 is when I actually started this channel. So it was about time. I wanted to start one, like, earlier, but, like, years before. But, I joined when I did. And I started Instagram a few months later, 2016 to 2017. But 2016, I started a lot of content. Times were different back then and whatnot. YouTube's policies were less strict. But yeah, a lot of things changed by then anyways, but yeah, I'm trying to think, I started getting bigger, I got more animatronics and stuff you'd see on my old videos. I went to Spirit several times, which is when I started actually recording in the stores, so most of my Spirit Halloween, trips were recorded. I don't film every single trip, but I film most of them, so if you guys want to check back, this video is already getting long. I don't know if you guys are here by now. You might be skipping already, or if you're watching the whole video, good for you. But, I'm not going to talk about every trip. This is when I started recording my trip. So if you guys want to see my first reactions and stuff, go check it out on my old videos, even if they were cringe and stuff back then. But, yeah, I'm not going to talk about a whole lot. But, I did another display, my Freight Fest hunt with my friends. But yeah, that was a pretty fun year. Each year has this feeling to it, but yeah. I'm trying to think. But yeah, I kept getting props for Christmas, which was a big thumbs up, so. But yeah, I recorded since, 2016, I record like a lot of stuff, so I could pretty much catch you guys up there. But anyways, I started being added in group chats and talking to people in this community, and it was pretty great to finally start talking to these people, that I've been watching, and they were all pretty nice. I met my first Haunter in 2017, which was Dogelord55, Aaron and Nate, who I'm still really good friends with. And I met up with them several times this past season as well. But yeah, 2016, 2017, they were pretty great. All my moments were pretty much recorded on there, so I don't know if there's any specifics, but pretty fun years. I did say 2014 was Spirit's last premiere for several years. I don't know, it just felt different. The props are still good and stuff, but that's when they started going to two themes, and the slime, the classic good old slime font was going away. I don't know, it just felt different back then, but yeah, Spirit was still good. There was obviously a decline nowadays, which, not gonna lie, like, it's kind of sad because 10 years ago was my favorite Spirit year, and then 2 years later it was probably my least favorite. So things have changed, but yeah. Anyways, I remember finally going to the store called Halloween Outlet in 2017, which was, I didn't go to their old location where they had all the pro stuff, unfortunately, but at least I went, and it was a pretty good store. Ripped that store, really classic. Many people around the world traveled. There was on the Travel Channel, it was locally in Worcester, so that was pretty disappointing when they closed, but I'm glad I at least got to experience it a few times. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there are any other moments, because I pretty much catched you guys up on what happened in the past that you guys didn't get to see. So yeah, I don't think I need to talk about this video. I don't want to make this video too long, as it already is long. So, but yeah, I'm going to talk about my favorite personal moments from recent days. I got to meet up with a bunch of people, such as Halloween Fan 101, Hicks Haunter, Circus Spirit, Hauntabulous, Hauntastic, a bunch of people who I'm still really good friends with. And I'm good friends with a lot of other people who I've talked to, such as Ascend the Clown Haunter and UVB Halloween, Dr. Halloween, a bunch of people like that. I've been talking to for a while now. I'm still really good friends with. And I want to talk about this community for a bit. Drama is a big issue. It's going to happen either way. So I've gotten a few fights with people in this community, as a bunch of people have. So, I kind of nowadays just kind of avoided being in this community. I'm going to talk more about the future, but, I still have problems with some people. Not going to name any of them, but, just kind of sucks. This community happens, but hey, drama is drama. People just want attention and whatnot. This community is just a mess nowadays. So, it's like a huge downfall, as I keep saying. But, yeah, it just kind of sucks how this community's been. But, I'm glad I met a good... I'm friendly with most people in this community, so I'm glad I got to meet a few people and got to meet up with a few people in person. So that's good. I go to my friend Circus Spirit Ethan's events each year that I help out with. 2019, I also found out about a store called Halloween Connection. I got to know the owner, Rich, pretty well, who gave me a bunch of things for good deals. Rip Halloween Connection as well. That store closed too. Good footage. It's a really popular video on my channel right now. But yeah, I still got to see Rich, even though the store's closed. I get to see Rich here and there, and he's pretty awesome. And he finds leftover pieces and gives them to me and my friends for really good deals. So I'm glad I got to meet Rich. And I also got to meet. You guys know I've been big into Morbid Enterprises. I know a lot of people look down on them, but I liked a lot of their older stuff. It was pretty good. And so I got to meet the owner of Morbid, Mark. And his family owned the Halloween Outlet, and I got to explore the abandoned Halloween Outlet, which I filmed. So I'm glad I got to meet Mark as well, and he's a really awesome guy. And I know he's starting in Deja Vu, which I got a few masks from them as well. So Mark's awesome. I'm glad I got to meet him. And I know a lot of people don't like Morbid, but you got to respect people's opinions. But yeah, there's a lot of good moments, but and I'm gonna stand as in the present now. That's a lot of about the past. I went on for way too long. I feel like I might have missed a few things, but I feel like I went over a lot of the topics I wanted to cover. And I'm proud with my collection nowadays. I traded with a bunch of people. I sold a few pieces, and I keep getting new pieces that I like and wanted for a while. So nowadays, I've been Instagram. and YouTube I've been active on, a little bit on Facebook. But I keep meeting new people who are awesome, and I help my friends out with content and stuff as well as they help me. So, but yeah, I've stayed out of a lot of group chats because, group chats aren't really my thing anymore. And I just like the small group chats. I want to keep a good, close amount of friends that I can trust. So I'm glad. Thanks. Shout out to all you people. But yeah, I'm still glad to be in this community, but just trying to kind of get out of there, escape it, but not fully, because I still like this stuff. I still have a bunch of friends I don't want to ditch. So, but I'm staying away from the toxic people. So good advice if people having these problems, just try to ignore them. You can block them or whatever. Don't like get offended by stuff, because that's what people want. They feed on that stuff. But yeah. But yeah, anyways, that's a lot of stuff I talked about in the past. But anyways, I want to talk more about the present now. I graduated high school, so I'm glad with that this past year. So that felt relieved. And I still had to see my friends a lot, so it's not like, I leave them, my school friends at least. I met a few school friends, and they still help me with my haunt too. And I did talk about the Fright Fest, the thing I do before Halloween. But I figure, it's been a good run. I retired it in 2021. That was the last year I did it. Because, I was like, after high school, I'm just going to focus on other things. Plus, the more, I've been involved with this stuff, the more stuff I did. The more stuff I did in the, the community. So, yeah, like, most of my weekends are filled with planning stuff, whether, it's going to places or meeting up with people, and a bunch of stuff, that comes up, helping others with their haunts and whatnot. So, my weekends are pretty much filled with now and that. But I also did, these past 2 seasons, I had really great experiences. I finally worked at Spirit. Spirit's not as good as they once were, but I'm always happy to help. It's easy money. I have a lot of crew. My friend Christian, Halloween Clay guy, worked with me this past season. We had a lot of fun. But yeah, these past 2 seasons were pretty great for me. So I'm looking to work at a 3rd season for Spirit. It's really awesome and pretty easy and fun. So yeah, you might deal with a few Karens here and there. Luckily, I really haven't, but the seasons are pretty good, and I really like working at Spirit. So even if it's a seasonal job, it's good money. So, and I can fit it around my schedule. Spirit's easy, flexible with hours, so I could take things off if I want to go see my friends or whatever. I'll have time for doing that and making that money. So you know how it is. But yeah, that's a lot. And recently, you guys saw, I do a display still, but my first actual haunt was 2020, and I do a theme each year now, starting with the Cannibal Farm, and then it went to Devil's Island, and this past year was Dr. Delirium's lab, and this year, I have it planned. I actually have the next few years planned, but I'm not going to reveal anything yet. It's pretty early, so you just have to stay tuned, but I have some big plans this year. And I've been trying to be more of a professional haunter by getting pro props, such as Granny right here. I actually got her locally, so for $200, so that was a great deal. These things retail for close to $600 now. And this is an older model, which I like. But anyways, I'm starting to get more pro props. I got Debbie and Maniac. And I'm going to invest in more professional stuff, making my own customs, and buying more professional stuff such as distortions props. So that's where I stand, and in the future, I'm going to keep heading that direction. I'm still going to buy low-budget props here, but I'm starting to focus more on also getting professional props, because I do want to make a professional type haunt, and it's just going to keep getting better and better as years go on, and I'm going to start building sets and stuff for my haunt as well, along with props. So, yeah. And for the future, and I'm going to plan on continue this stuff for the future as well. So, yeah, I can't really say what's going to happen in the future, but definitely expect me to keep on doing this stuff, being more pro, doing my haunts, doing more content for you guys. And yeah, so I had a lot to say in this video. 10 years being a haunter, a lot of stories. I'm glad to share my experiences with you guys. And this is a video I had been planning in the making for a while. I wanted this originally to be out before 2022. or before 2023 in 2022, because that would make it 10 years. But it's fine. I got it out now. But yeah, and obviously, you know, you start off as what they call a squeaker, and you go to a prop collector, and you become a haunter. But I'm a haunter now, and you know, this is called the haunter community. So 10 years of being a haunter. So that's what I'm gonna call it. Because 2012 was when I started getting big and collecting these props. So, you know, oh yeah, and I finally went to Flagship this past year. I hope to go to some conventions, maybe Transworld and some other shows in the future. So, you know, I'll film that and stuff as well. But, you know, I'm glad I got going to Flagship. I want to go there in the future as well, even if it is pretty chaotic. It's more just fun for the experience. You know, I took it like you don't need to be the first one in line. You don't need to camp out overnight. You just take out a prop. And, you know, considering, you know, if I work there again, which I probably will, I can always get these props later on. You know, some people might want to be the first to review them, which is fine. Go ahead if you want. But for me, you know, it's not that. It's more for the experience. And if I work there, if anyone else works there, you realize you get an employee discount, and you get these props way cheaper than you can on opening day, because employee discounts more than any other coupons. Even Spears pricing has sadly gone up and whatnot in their quality, and whatever. But yeah. Anyways, I'm glad I got to Flagship. Trying to think, this video's been going on long enough, so thank you guys for bearing with me if you made it this far. Probably my longest video on my channel now, but you know, it's one of a kind video. I'm not going to make too many videos like this, but I felt like this would be a very special one, and I wanted to make it. But yeah, I went to Flagship, and you know, just a bunch of stuff, you know, and we'll see where this continues in the future, what I go to, and you know, content will be going up, like I said, more haunts and stuff. And, you know, maybe I'd do like a professional haunt somewhere else besides my backyard now. So we'll see where it goes. Hard to say how the future holds on, but I expect me to keep doing this for a while now and into the near future. So, yeah, I'm glad to be in this community where I stand at now, and with the good amount of friends I have right now, and with all the great experiences. So, you know, I have a pretty big collection as well. So, yeah, and you know, I have a bunch of props, so if you guys want any reviews or demos of props that I could probably do that. It depends which ones I have out right now. But yeah, definitely let me know in the comments. And if you missed this video, hope you guys enjoyed, or however long you watch this. Most people don't want to watch these over an hour long videos, which is my first time doing this. But, you know, I'm just proud to be here, I guess. And, you know, this is 10 years of being a haunter, so yeah. I think that's going to do it for this long video. Thank you guys for being with me if you made it this far. And I think that's all I got to say. So I'll see you guys next time, and goodbye.